Welcome everybody to our third GPP webinar. I'm here with Mary and Tim from the Support Center. For all of you who I've not met, I'm Jacqueline. I'm the Program Manager of Capacity Building. Super excited to have you guys watch this recording with us. Mary and Tim, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Great. Well, Jacqueline sent out a survey about fundraising in October. And from the responses that we received, there were three topics that were of the most interest among the respondents. And so we wanted to share some of the ideas that our team has come across and thought about and seen work successfully among these three areas. So the three topics of interest are: one, finding new sources of funding; two, crowdsourcing; and three, using personal networks to fundraise. Two other areas of interest were fundraising with social media and joint fundraising. But we're going to focus the ideas that we share today on those first three. So finding new sources of funding, crowdsourcing, and using your personal network to fundraise. Tim's going to kick us off with some ideas around finding new sources of funding.
Perfect. Thank you, Jacqueline and Mary. So like Mary said, I'll talk a little bit, just share a couple of ideas from the Serious Fund side about how we've gone about finding new sources of funding. But what we really want this webinar to be is a launching point for any type of conversation that you may have with your own team. So in terms of finding new sources of funding, we'll share a couple of our ideas, but our hope is that you'll go back, speak with your own team, and start discussing how you guys could do that in your own countries. And then we'll have an option at the end of this webinar to potentially connect with other GPP sites to share ideas on all of these different topics. But in terms of finding new sources of funding, let's jump right in. So one of the ways that we've been able to do that, and we continue to try and do that, is through our board and our GPP committee members. As part of our Serious Fund board, we have a group of people who are specifically focused on GPP, and they are our GPP committee. They help us with all kinds of things, from helping us review our strategy and our strategic plans for GPP, to reviewing our criteria and approving criteria, all kinds of different things. But another great opportunity that our members of our GPP committee provide are linkages to people who are interested in supporting GPP financially. So one example that is somewhat recent, and nothing has come out of it yet, but just to give you an idea, is Mary and Blake are about to travel to India to present at a big conference. And so we asked our board members if there's anyone, our GPP committee members, if there's anyone that they might be able to connect us to in India that is working, in a corporate or wherever that Blake and or Mary could meet with while they're there. And so we actually, one of our board members connected us to a corporate social responsibility representative at a big company called Tata. Anyone in India will know what the company Tata, but maybe some of you outside of India don't. They're a big company. They make lots of engines and motor vehicles, but they have a corporate social responsibility arm as well. So they're going to connect with them. It's a very first connection, a very first linkage that we've ever had with them. But we're all hopeful that, they will become interested in the work that we do. And then maybe somewhere down the line, we'll be able to put out an ask for funding support. This first visit is not the time when we'll be making an ask for funding support. Another way that we found new funding sources is through our existing donors who have become interested in supporting other projects like GPP. So for example, GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, is a big pharmaceutical company. They have been supporting Serious Fund camps in Europe for several years, several of the camps. And recently that support has grown, where GSK has now become interested in supporting GPP sites in South Africa and Botswana. So that support has since grown. And our hope is now that they've begun supporting GPP sites in South Africa and Botswana, that will even continue to grow even further and spread out to the other places within our GPP portfolio. So potential funding could be coming to you from GSK. That's our hope. And then in terms of, again, finding new funding sources, the other way that we've been able to do that is through strong donor relationships or partnerships that could grow. So this is just continuing to work with our fundraising and our development team about different opportunities through like smaller donors and individual donors, through our direct mail campaigns or email campaigns, and through their conversations with family foundations and individual donors, and finding new individual donors and making sure that their funding interests align with what we're doing and the geographies that we're working in. So we hope that these 3 ideas from Serious Fund side are ideas that maybe you could talk to your development teams about, your fundraising teams, your executive directors about, and see what options might work for you in terms of raising more funds for camp. So the next one, Mary, we also said we were going to talk a little bit about crowdsourcing, so I'm going to hand that one over to Mary to kick us off.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. So crowdsourcing just in general is usually small gifts from a lot of different people. So you're sourcing your funds from a big crowd, and they might be smaller gifts, not major, $1,000, $100,000 gifts, but a little bit here and there from a lot of different people. And there are so many online platforms out there that are really easy to set up and allow for links to be shared either through email or social media that can then reach a lot of people. And one example from this past year, we heard, both Tim and I heard from Dr. Ali in Malawi with the Camp Hope Malawi team, that they had a situation where they did some auditing of one of their donors and realized that it might lead to reputational risk, and they didn't want to take that chance. They were a little nervous about some of the things they found in the audit, so they needed to raise funds kind of last minute for Camp Hope Malawi. And Dr. Ali used an online giving platform to raise last minute funds for Camp Hope. She posted it on Facebook to promote the message, and she raised over $7,000 in 1 week. So this is a really great example, and in not a lot of time. And so this, using the online platform is kind of the crowdsourcing part. This is also an example of using personal network, because clearly Dr. Ali used kind of her personal connections in terms of sharing the message and sharing the need. And then that's how she rallied support for Camp Hope. Another example that is actually, it's only available to US-based organizations right now, as far as I know. I'm not sure if Amazon, the online retail website, if it's available in other countries. I know there's an Amazon India, an Amazon UK, so this might also be an option there, but it's called Amazon Smile. And this is another really easy way for an organization to set up an account and then encourage people when they make a purchase on Amazon.com to do it through the Amazon Smile specifically for the organization. For example, Serious Fund has an Amazon Smile account, and so anytime I go online and make a purchase on Amazon.com, I can make sure I do it from the Serious Fund Amazon Smile page, and then 0.5% of my total purchase will go to Serious Fund. And so that's the case with anyone who purchases through Serious Fund Children's Network, Amazon Smile linkage. All of that will lead to proceeds that go to Serious Fund. So there are opportunities like that out there. This one's obviously US specific, but if there's a headquarters in the US that could set this up, that could be of benefit, and or if there are other websites that do this in a similar fashion, that's a really cool opportunity. The next section that we're going to briefly talk about is using your personal network. Obviously, we gave the example of Dr. Ali at Camp Hope, Malawi. Another example I recently heard about is that the Camp Rainbow team in Chennai, they hosted a camp day, and a personal friend of Satish, who's the camp director, a personal friend of Satish provided the funding needed for all the meals for that camp day. And then Satish's friend visited during the camp day to be part of the experience. So that's another one, just reaching out to close friends who you know would be supportive of the programs you run, and seeing if they could contribute in any way if they're interested. So all examples, actually a lot of them from this past year, that we wanted to share with you. And then kind of in the spirit of giving during our American Thanksgiving, there's some ideas out there about fundraising with social media. And Tim, I'll let you wrap it up with that last idea.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mary. So in terms of fundraising with social media, yesterday was what it's called Giving Tuesday. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, and if you're not, maybe you've seen a lot of Facebook or Instagram posts about Giving Tuesday. In the US and North America, Giving Tuesday always happens. It's the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving, right, Mary and Jacqueline? Yeah. Okay. So it's always the first Tuesday after American Thanksgiving. So for 2018, Google when is American Thanksgiving and Google when is Giving Tuesday, because you might want to put this on your calendars if you have a network of North Americans in your social media circle. But it's essentially what was happening yesterday is so many different users of Facebook and Instagram were creating their own little mini fundraising campaigns for organizations that they're really passionate about. And one interesting thing that was happening yesterday is that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as Facebook, were offering a matching grant to individuals who were raising money for any different organization. That might change next year, but so keep your eye out for news about that. But people were within the Serious Fund family and within the Serious Fund network of camps were raising money for their camps. The staff were posting on their own Facebook profiles saying, hey, help me out with $1,000. My goal is to raise $1,000 by the end of the day through my 500 or 1,000 friends on Facebook. So if everybody gives a little bit, I want to raise $1,000, and Facebook and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are going to match that. So it'll be $2,000 that'll go to my camp at the end of the day. And if each camp, employs 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 people, and they're all doing that, then that is in one day, they're just really trying to bring in a lot of funds on this Giving Tuesday. So that is another opportunity for using social media and using, the network of group leaders, activity leaders, volunteers, and having them spread that out to their Facebook feeds and through an online platform and be able to bring funds in to support your work. So that is another thing that, you could take a look at and see and discuss among your team if something like that might work in your country. The one other resource that I did want to let everybody know about is there's a website that I came across recently, and it's called classy.org, CLASSY.org. And it's an online fundraising platform, but they have a lot of resources that you can go on and you can download. They're PDF files, but there's if you want to do an online campaign to raise funds for your camp, it gives you a step-by-step guide on how to do that. There was a guide I downloaded recently, which is 101 fundraising ideas that you could use. And some of them are as small as, having a juice or lemonade sale at, a local school and raising a little bit of money. But there's all kinds of other ideas in there as well that might be a little bit bigger to bring in more funds for your program. So if you have time and you want to take a look at that website, I would encourage you to do so and to check out what resources are in there. And if you, at your organization, if you have a fundraising team specifically that raises funds for your organization and you want them to start, you want them to be raising funds specifically for camp, have them take a look at that website as well. Yeah, so with that, I also just want to say, so those are the sort of the main areas that were highlighted in the survey that went out before we started this webinar. So we wanted to just share, like I said at the beginning, we wanted to share a couple of ideas from Serious Fund side. We know some of them may not work in your countries, and some of them might. But the idea was that this, like I said, would be a launching point for you to go back and have conversations with your team. The other option that we did want to provide is, after watching this video, if you would like to have an opportunity for you to join an online platform just like this and have a conversation with other GPP sites, and we could have a roundtable conversation to learn what are people doing. Mary brought up that example from India, and we have that example from Malawi and what Malawi did a little bit earlier this year. If you want to hear more of those ideas, let us know and we could set up this online platform, this online video conversation for different GPP sites to have that roundtable discussion before the end of the calendar year.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, guys, and we hope to see you soon.
All right. Thanks.